Kyle took her daughter on an airplane for the first time, but when she woke up from her nap, she realized that her daughter had disappeared. Kyle got up to look for her daughter, but she searched the cabin and found no sign of her. Neither the flight attendants nor the passengers said they had seen Kyle's daughter, and there was no record of her daughter ever getting on the plane. To Kyle's shock, the captain produced a death certificate from the hospital. Her daughter had died in the hospital 6 days earlier. The crew began to suspect that Kyle was hallucinating, but carrying her daughter on the plane during the day and putting her daughter to sleep on the plane were all things that stuck in Kyle's mind and had happened. Kyle suspected that her daughter had been hidden by the bad guys on the plane. At Kyle's strong request, the captain could only agree to a full search of the plane. Eventually, Kyle found his daughter unconscious in the cargo hold. She was surrounded by bombs. It turned out to be a conspiracy by David, the plane's security guard. He kidnapped Kyle's daughter and falsified the death certificate so that Kyle and the captain wouldn't trust each other, so David could frame the bombing, the plane hijacking, the money extortion as a Kyle conspiracy. Then David told the captain that Kyle was going to hijack the plane. The captain believed it and was ready to wire the money as requested. But David didn't get what he wanted. When all the passengers had left the plane, Kyle detonated a bomb on the plane. David died in the fire. Kyle, on the other hand, managed to get off the plane with his daughter.
The flight attendant used high heels to stir the coffee. She then brought the aromatic coffee to the passenger. However, the passenger didn't even glance at it before knocking it to the floor. The scalding coffee burned the flight attendant's arm, but the passenger showed no concern, her face full of disdain. Noticing the expensive diamond ring on the attendant's hand, the woman asked how she came to possess such a ring. The attendant stammered, unable to answer. The woman threw the ring to the ground and stomped on it. Despite this, the flight attendant chose to endure the humiliation and politely asked the woman to lift her foot. The reason the attendant remained submissive was because the passenger was a highly respected type princess. She had chartered the entire plane, and Mary, the only flight attendant on board, was required to provide the best service. Unable to tolerate the humiliation any longer, Mary noticed that the princess was allergic to seafood. According to the menu, she removed the shrimp from the noodles and presented the dish to the princess, pretending to be considerate. The princess, without suspecting anything, happily ate the noodles. Soon, she began coughing violently. Mary initially intended to ask if the princess was okay, but when she saw red spots appearing all over her body, she pretended nothing had happened and walked away. As Mary was preparing to finish her shift, she saw a news report announcing the princess's sudden death. A woman burst into the emergency room, hiding herself on an operating table under the puzzled gaze of the doctor. The doctor, curious, investigated further and discovered that the woman's injuries hinted at a complicated situation. The next moment, a burly man followed her in, clearly targeting the woman on the table. Seeing Julie's desperate plea for help, the doctor made a life-changing decision for both Julie and the burly man. She led the man to another room, pretending to look for a colleague, which infuriated him as he was convinced the doctor was protecting her assistant. After searching every corner of the room with no success, the man remembered the operating table he had initially seen. Just as Julie was about to fall back into the man's grasp, he lifted the sheet, only to find the table empty. Frustrated and mindful that they were in a public place, the man chose to leave. Though Julie had narrowly escaped with the doctor's help, her ordeal was far from over. Julie revealed that the burly man was her abusive husband before fainting. Meanwhile, the man did not give up his search. He wandered around the hospital with Julie's photo, pretending to be a concerned husband. Suddenly, an urgent announcement called for medical assistance for a woman in distress in the emergency room. Trusting his instincts, the man was certain the woman in question was his wife, Julie.